Hello, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's another early morning art journaling session for me. So this is a newish art journal that I set up earlier in the year with my friend Kay. We both did one at 8 by 8. We created them from scratch. They're just basic three-hole pamphlet stitch journals. And I think there's 12 pages in each one. The idea was that we'd do one play date once a month, and then obviously it would take us a year to fill the journal. Circumstances meant that Kay got poorly and we couldn't do the play dates as often as we wanted to. So I thought, well, I would carry on and use my journal. And then when we get back to doing our play dates again, we can carry on where we left off. When we first, in our first playdate session, I did the covers of my journal, and I also went through, I managed to do one art journaling page, but I went through and added paint to every single page in the journal so that I wasn't faced with that stark white page whenever I wanted to start one. So basically today what I want to do is I'm just going to go anywhere in the journal. I'm just going to go let's do this one. So let's work in the center page. So what I want to do is I'm going to create a bit of a collage, a bit of a back to basics session today. I've already got some background paint in there. So what I want to do is create a bit of background interest by using some stamping, some stencils, and a little bit of washi tape, just to create some background interest before I add my collage, my main collage kind of image, and also my journaling quote or whatever. I'm going to do all hand journaling, or all hand quotes in this journal. Everything by hand, no stamping and no stenciling for lettering. I'm going to do it all by hand. So we're going to use this side. So what I'm going to do is just basically grab the first stencil which is lying on my desk, which is this one, which is the Dirty Circle stencil, which is very dirty, as you can see. Fairly oldish one now, a couple of years old. Still available on the website if you're interested. And I'm just using Vintage Photo Distress ink, which is a nice brown. So I'm just going to go around adding in the first bit of additional background interest. So back to basics. Adding in a little bit of stenciling, and I'm going to do that kind of visual triangle where we add in, that's not very juicy, that is it. Let's see if we can find a different colour. Let me find one of my new ones. Fallen Leaves, there we go. Let's see if we can use this one instead. This will be a bit darker, a bit more juicy, as they say. Versifying Clay, Fallen Leaves. What was I saying? Oh yeah, visual triangles. So to encourage the eye to move around the page, it's one of those things where if you add texture or imagery or layers to your page in a kind of triangular fashion. Now what I'll do is I'll try and go back over that. Which way did I go? Was it there? Yeah, that was it, wasn't it? Was that it? Or was that it? Oh, do you know? That was it. There you go. I could hear you shouting at the screen. You've gone to the wrong place. Right, so let's just go back over that. Make that a little bit darker. So as I was saying, so adding in 3 different areas on the page. It doesn't matter where on the page you add them, as long as you add 3 in that kind of triangular pattern, it will create what's called a visual triangle. And that will encourage anybody who's looking at your art journaling page, and also yourself, whenever you're looking at it, it will encourage your eye to move around the page. It gives your page flow and movement. Flow and movement, as they say. So your eye kind of follows it round, and that's one of the basic kind of concepts of composition. So always a good one to follow. And we're going to use that same kind of like visual triangle trope, if you like, throughout doing the art journaling page. Right, so let me just grab another stencil. Let's see what we've got from the old collection. Some in there. Oh, let's do some crosses. Let's do some hexes. Let's do hexes. Right, let's choose another colour. So we've got blues and greens in there. So let's try and do maybe a lighter blue. Barley blue. Barley blue. Now then, I did have, there it is, a blue foam. So let's just get some of that ink flowing within the pad. And then again, let's do some hexes. Oh, look at that. That's a nice blue. That's a lovely blue. So again, we'll do that in 3 areas. There, and we'll do it over here. Again, that visual triangle, creating that. That's nice. I think I'm going to add some of those on this side as well, just because. There we go. It'll just help to balance it when I do finally do something on this page over here. All right, so we've got the paint layers in the background. We've got that stenciling with the dirty circles, and now we've got that barley blue, kind of lovely blue crosses. Now we could do stamping. Well, we could do stamping. I am going to do stamping. So I'm going to add some darker dots in there now. So I'm going to use some halftone in there, and we'll use a darker colour. I don't want to use the brown again. All right, let's use that green, that dark green. All right, I'm just looking at the page now, thinking it's going to look it's going to be quite difficult now to put any writing on this page, any handwritten writing, because it's already a dark page. I'm going to add two lots of stamping in each area. I've got a bit close together maybe. All right, so just to balance it off a little bit, let's do a little bit at the top there. Yeah. In fact, let's do one more in the middle. You probably won't even see it. There we go. So there's a lot going on that page now. A lot. Let's get that wipe off. All right, so put that away later. All right, so washi tape. Let's add some washi tape. So I've just got some basic black and white washi tape here. This is like bricks. So I'm just going to add some of that coming in, and it will go see-through. You will be able to see through the background. So let's just do 2 lots of that there. And let's do a bit down here at the bottom. again, we'll do a little bit over at this side. Smaller piece underneath. There we go. So we've got mostly blues and greens there. So I don't want to add, no, I'm not going to add any more. I could do, but I'm not going to. That's going to be it. All right, so for main focal image, I'm going to take an image from my Animal Kingdom book. In fact, I'm going to use that no, not that one. I'm going to use the other bird, that one, but the larger version. I've already taken it out of the pad. It's got a little Yorkie on the back, but we're going to use this big one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut him out, but I'm not going to go mad as in trying to do proper real close fussy cutting. And believe it or not, yes, I'm going to cut the crown off. I'll explain why in a minute. So I'll nip off because you don't want to see me cutting this out because it's boring, and I'll join you again in a bit. All right, so I've got my elements cut out, so they're going to be lovely. So the reason I cut the crown off rather than leaving it is because I wanted to reposition it just so that it was tilted further back on the head. That's the only other reason why I did that. Right, so before I could do anything else, or before I glue it down, I'm looking at the page and it is quite dark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just bring some of that white in the background back to the foreground again. Now there are two different ways you can do that. You can either add splatters or you could do some mark making, and I think that's probably going to be the best way for me to do it, is to add some white mark making to the front of the page. So let me just grab maybe some circles. I've got a pot of gesso here, so I'll just give it a shake. So I've got some of the paint in the lid, and then I can just go in, and then I can just start adding in some circles, and it just helps to kind of bring that background to the foreground again. And again, I'm doing it in, that's quite juicy, that, isn't it? I'm doing it in that kind of three-pronged visual triangle again. So just in three areas. Now, bearing in mind that we're going to be sticking down there, and the quote's going to go over here somewhere. So we don't have to go mad. So let's just get some smaller ones as well. Let me just take off a little bit of that excess. Look like bubbles now, don't they? And it doesn't matter if we go over the washi tape in the slightest. There we go. That'll do. That's just going to help to bring that background, the white from the background, back into that foreground again. It just helps the balance of the composition. All right, so what have we learned so far? Visual triangles, so it doesn't matter whether you do it in washi tape, whether you do it in stenciling, whether you do it in stamping, or whether you do it in mark making. As long as you remember to do it in around the page at 3 points, then that will help the eye move around the page. It just helps with the composition. And like I said, it doesn't matter whether you do it with paint, whether you do it with stamping, whether you do it with washi tape, whether you do it with repeated motifs, even with a pen. Even if you went in and did some mark making, if you just remember that visual triangle, 3 points around the page, you can't go wrong. Right, I need to get this gesso dried before we do anything else, before I stick anything else down. And also this coffee ain't going to drink itself. So I'm going to go away and just heat this up, and then I'll be right back. All right, so that should be dry now, but just in case, because there was quite a lot of paint there, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold it over and I'm just going to rub it. If there is any of that white paint that is still wet, it'll transfer over to the opposite page. And there was just a little bit there, look. Just a tiny bit. That's fine. Okay, I can work with that. Right, so we can put the mark making bits and bobs away now. All right, and then I think we're ready to stick down our main collage. So grab some scratch paper. Diary glue stick. So Diane Reevely's Creative Diary glue stick. It's just a dry glue stick. I'm only using this because it's the only one I've got left. I tried using some the other day and they've completely dried. My Elmer's had gone completely dried out. So it's either a case of use it or lose it. So I'm using it. Right, so I'll fold it over now because I don't want to get any glue on the other side, and then here we go. Yeah, it's either going to just sit in the drawer and just dry out, or I'm going to use it. So obviously I'm going to try and use it. There we go. And dry glue sticks are good because they're dry. They're drier. They don't put much moisture into your art journal page. So for collages, you know, it's good. It's good, no? Yes. All right, so where are we now? All right, so quote time. So we'll just do a basic quote for the page. Grab a pen, grab a piece of paper. I did say I was going to handwrite, and I'm going to do it handwritten, then I'm going to cut it out and stick it down. I want the white background, so let's just say go. So that's a fairly old quote. I'm not really sure where it's from. Somebody must have said it at some point. So let's cut that out. See, sometimes, yeah, doing it on the computer is great. You know, and doing it by hand is great, but sometimes you want small and you don't want to go big. So there's nothing wrong in doing a small handwritten quote either. All right. Let's just take a little bit more of that off, and it doesn't matter if it's not straight. There we go. Twill do. Right, where's that brown ink? There's still some more on there. That's when we did those dirty circles earlier. I didn't put the ink away. And it is kind of dark and quite juicy, so it will just add that little bit of a frame if we go around the edges. Just helps it pop a little bit. we go. And again, scratchy paper. Let's just have a look, see if I've got an old, that's it. Piece of old book text. So let's flip that over and then grab that Dilutions glue stick again. And then we just go, add some glue to the back. Flip that one over. Add some glue to the back. All right. And then let's do it. There we go. Add the quote. And then what we can do, just to kind of finish it off, is let's just bring in my Stabilo Hall pencil and the water brush, and we'll just add some shadow in just under here, and then we'll add a little bit underneath there. So the Stabilo All Pencil, if you don't already know, and I apologise if I'm teaching Granny how to suck eggs, is a water-soluble pencil that when you use a water brush, as you see, it activates. And let's just add a bit more water just on that worktop there. Sometimes these water brushes don't release as much water as you actually want them to. So water-based pencil, and you can just activate it with a little bit of water and it will blend away. The more water you add, the more diffused it gets. So if you want more of a subtle shadow, then you can pick up, move it around, add a bit more water, and then blend it away, and it will dry lighter. But it just adds that nice kind of shadow in that background, that corner. And what I like to do is do it underneath like this, and then get some water, turn it around, and then you can start pushing it away. Sometimes it does get a bit dark, but even if you let it dry, you can come back in and lift it later. Just lift that up and I'll show you what I mean. You see where I dabbed it then? Clean water, clean the brush, and it will just start to lift. If I come in, there we go. It's very dark today actually. I may have gone a little bit too strong. But like I said, it will just come back in with some more of that water, and we can just keep on diffusing it away. And just keep lifting it. Ta-da! As 'twere. Right, and again, if this is a bit too dark, just give it a moment or two and then just come back in again with the wet and just lift it away. All right, so what did I do with the lid? It's there. I'll put that back in with the pencil and with the brush. I always keep the water brush with the pencil so that I know I've always got one. And there we go. So we could leave that to dry for a little while, and then if you wanted to, you could come back in and just reinforce that top. And like I said, we can come back in again later on if we want to and add in some darker bits just to kind of reinforce those shapes, bring that darkness that you've also got in there, but again remembering your visual triangle. And odds are better than evens, just like when you're gardening. So 3s, 5s, 7s are much better than even numbers. Like it. I think I'm done with that page today, so all I have to do now is just sign and date it. There we go. So I'm not sure what date it is today. Was it 30th of August today? There we go. Enjoyed that, enjoyed doing that this morning. So I hope you did. Let me just move that out of the way because it's casting a shadow. I hope you enjoyed watching me create this hat journal page today. If you have, please remember to give the video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. That's all from me for now. I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. And don't forget, you can access your exclusive angel-only content over on my website. There's a link in the description area below. Thank you.